What is good, Grizzlies? I hope you had a great Memorial weekend. Wanted to go over with you real quick the last 2.5 weeks of school. And then if you have any questions about something, contact me, email me, get in touch with me so we can make sure everything is clear, right? So we're here at the 26th. This week, we're gonna have 2 assignments. This is your last math homework assignment that you'll get today. And then on Thursday, there's a quiz opportunity. Both of these assignments, the quiz and the homework, will be due June 1st by 3 p.m. They shouldn't be too bad. And then next week, you will get some details on our final project, and that'll be worth test points. That final project will be due June 8th, the first day of finals week. This will be the last day to turn anything in, get anything graded, and you can see what your final grade of the semester is gonna be at the end of that week. So again, if you have any questions about what's happening, please reach out and let me know. Today, you'll have an opportunity to get some extra credit on your homework assignment. Let's get started. So last week, we learned how to graph a sine curve and a cosine curve. Today, we're gonna be looking at those curves and then writing the equation of it. It might be a good idea to have handy some of your old notes. You have great examples of the OG original graphs of those, and you also have the general equation, how to write one out, written in your notes from last week. So here's gonna be our first example. It looks a little bit like this. So here we have a graph, and they're asking us to write this graph as a function of sine. They want it to equal like a sine graph. So let's remember or refresh our memory on what the general equation of sine looks like. From our notes last week, so to write an equation representing this picture or graph, I need an a, b, h, and k value. Sounds like a lot of work, but some of this stuff is very easy. Let's start with the easy stuff, like the amplitude. I can see where the middle of the curve is. And from the middle to the top is 2. Same from the middle to the bottom is a distance of 2. So that means my amplitude, or a value, is 2. That took a few seconds. That wasn't hard. Now I need to know the b value. Remember that the period is 2 pi divided by b. So what is the cycle or period that we see here? From the middle, it goes to the bottom of the hill, back to the middle, to the top of the hill, to the middle, and then it's gonna repeat. It's gonna go to the bottom. This is one period or one cycle. The period equals pi. So 2 pi divided by what would equal pi? Obviously, you can see the answer there. B is gonna equal 2. 2 pi divided by 2 would just equal pi. So right away, I've got my a value and my b value. Now, this is represented as a sine curve, okay? This is sine. Sine usually starts in the middle, goes to the top, to the middle, to the bottom, kind of looks like this. This one's starting in the middle, but it's not going in the right direction. Instead of going up, it's moving down. So it looks like the graph is being shifted. Here we are at the middle of our sine curve, and it starts to move to the top of the hill right here at pi over 2. So it looks like it's shifting to the right a distance of pi over 2. That's going to represent my h value here. Now, the middle of the curve is right here at 0. It didn't get shifted up or down at all. The middle stayed here, which means my k value is going to equal what? 0. It didn't move at all. So now that I have an amplitude, my b value, my h and k, I could write this general equation for sine. It's going to look like y equals 2 times the sine of b also equals 2. We have h minus pi over 2, right? Always the opposite of h here. We're shifting to the right. And then the k value is 0. I could put a plus 0 if I want. Now, there's one example or one equation that could work for sine. So here's how we're gonna grade the assignment today, all right? You're gonna have 3 problems to try. I'm gonna give a point for the amplitude, a point for the b value, and 2 points if you could come up with a correct equation that works. There happens to be an infinite amount of answers that you can use. So for each question, I'll give up to another 2 points extra credit if you can come up with 1 or 2 more equations that would still look like that picture. there happens to be an infinite amount of answers. So if you can come up with 2 more that also work, you'll get 2 additional extra credit points on that problem. Let's try one more challenging one, and then we'll check out our homework. Here, we're looking at a graph. Kind of looks the same as the last one. It starts going to the bottom of the hill, middle, top of the hill, back to the middle, but this time they want us to represent it as a cosine function. Here's the general equation. We have a cosine b, x minus h plus k. Let's start with the details that are the easiest, the amplitude. I can clearly see where the middle of my graph is. The distance from the middle to the top of the hill is 1. Distance from the middle to the bottom of the hill is also 1. So the amplitude is 1. Easy. Remember that the period is equal to 2 pi divided by b. This period here happens to be 4 pi. So the period happens to be 4 pi. You might want to use a calculator to help you out with this, but we need to figure out what divided by b is going to equal 4 pi. And the answer to that question is 1/2, or 0.5. So I've got my a value, I've got my b value. Let's see how this thing is shifting. Remember, a cosine graph starts at the top of the hill, goes to the middle, to the bottom of the hill, back to the middle, and then back to the top. That's one cycle or period. This one doesn't start at the top of the hill. It's in the middle. The top of the hill is way over here at 3 pi, which means the original OG cosine graph is getting shifted to the right a distance of 3 pi. That's my h value. You can clearly see this graph is also shifted up. It's moving up. The middle of my cosine graph or curve is at +2, which means the k value is equal to 2. So I have these numbers here, and I can write my equation. We've got y equals, the a value is 1, the b value is 1/2. I'm shifting to the right 3 pi, and I'm also shifting up a distance of 2. Here is my equation of that. Remember, each question is worth 4 points, and if you could come up with a additional equation or 2 that represents that picture, we'll give you some extra credit, up to 2. Here's our last math assignment of the year. We'll have a quiz at the end of this week, a project next week. Reach out to me if you need anything cleared up or if you got any questions, and we'll see you next time. Here's our homework assignment.